So I was watching, interestingly, actually, the announcement from President Donald Trump about the FIFA World Cup being hosted in America with the FIFA president, and of course with the Golden Trophy being featured. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. Uh, Point of this video is actually I got an ad uh, during that about this investor who'd been very successful in picking tech stocks, and then they blow up, and he was saying that this tech stock would be bigger than quantum computing, artificial intelligence, and cryptocurrency combined. And that this thing is talking about Amazon Helios, which is basically Jeff Bezos' initiative to in relation to fusion energy. Now, if you look at what are the two fusion companies that Jeff Bezos has invested in, it's actually, if I'm correct here, it is General Fusion, and then also Commonwealth Fusion Systems, which is a MIT thing. And so, however, if you look in the fusion space, the company with the most aggressive timeline for getting fusion electricity to the grid and to a actual partnered company is Helion Energy, which doesn't use a tokamak. It uses a pulsed approach with magnetic confinement and field reverse configurations in the plasma state of matter, right? Getting to fusion relevant temperatures of about 100 million Celsius, and then using a pulsed approach. Now, they are the company that's literally building a power plant in Washington right now, with the expectation that they're going to deliver clean fusion electricity to Microsoft by 2028. If they fail to deliver on that, there'll be financial repercussions for the company, and so it's a very aggressive approach, right? But they're pretty much the only company that has that aggressive of a timeline and is actively building a power plant right now. And so, what I'd like to say is that if you're an accredited investor, you're going to want to look at investing in, well, Helion Energy, because they literally have the faith of Microsoft to give them electricity to power data centers by 2028. They're the only company with that aggressive of a timeline and an agreement, and they're building the power plant right now in Washington. You're going to want to look at General Fusion and then Commonwealth Fusion Systems. But Helion has the most aggressive timeline and in terms of generating the electricity, and a very unique non-tokamak pulsed approach, which is actually, given their prototypes, feasible. So, I'm thinking about my career direction as I'm talking about this. So, I'm about to start a master's in electrical engineering at Northwestern Grad School in Evanston, Illinois. And so I did some computer science in undergrad, but what's happened with large language models is that they're pretty much better software engineers than any human. In other words, you can ask, Copilot or an LLM, how do you solve this problem? And it'll spit out an answer that's better than, any human software engineer who studied the subject. And so this is making, I was talking to this fellow, he said, software is cooked. Why do you say that? Because LLMs are, just crazy good. And now, even Lovable, you can build an entire application just with natural language, right? LLMs are that good now. You just need to make an interface where they can generate a whole app with, full stack app, just with natural language interface. So software is changing rapidly, and so I'm happy to be going into masters in electrical engineering now. Some epic companies I've thought of are Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink as an electrical engineer, but especially with the aggressive timeline for fusion electricity from Helion, like, wow, I could be an electrical engineer working on magnetic confinement for Helion's fusion pulse generator. It's like, that'd be pretty epic, right? Because the fuel there is helium-3, which, by the way, can be mined from the moon, even though it's rare on Earth. Then also deuterium. So deuterium is just an isotope of hydrogen, which is abundant because it's found in water, right? So we have enough deuterium on the planet to power Helion's reactor for like what, billions of years, maybe something about that. And so anyway, this investor guy in the ad was saying ultimately that Jeff Bezos's initiative in investing in fusion energy would be bigger than quantum computing, artificial intelligence, and cryptocurrency combined. And so it's like, well, Jeff Bezos has invested in two companies, General Fusion and Commonwealth Fusion Systems. But neither of those two companies has as aggressive of a timeline as Helion Energy, which Sam Altman invested in some time ago, and which Microsoft has a timeline of 2028, and in which they're the only company that's building the world's first fusion power plant in Washington, the United States, right now. So I would say, hey man, Mr. Investor Guru, I'm not sure it's Jeff Bezos with General Fusion and CFS. It could be Helion, Mr. Investor Guru guy, who is, broadcasting this ad ultimately to his own benefit, to get people's attention and to get their money, about some wonder stock that he's talking about. So anyway, if you're an accredited investor, you may want to try and get stock in Helion Energy through whichever websites enable you to, as an accredited investor, do that. So if you're an accredited investor, I'm going to say it again, if you are an accredited investor, pick up stock in Helion Energy. I think General Fusion and then Commonwealth Fusion Systems are also good, but Helion's aggressive timeline, this is literally the first fusion power plant in the world that is being built right now in Washington. They have that much faith. So I think that's special. So anyway, so anyway, interestingly, yes, I got this ad in relation to the announcement of that the FIFA World Cup draw would take place. Well, I've forgotten where by now, but it was the meeting with the FIFA president and Donald Trump, with Trump holding the winner's trophy and so on. Only the president of the hosting country and the FIFA president can touch it, which is interesting. But this brings me to a diversion, which is why the world is the way it is. So most soccer players who really make it big, they don't go to college, right? And so if you look at Marcus Rashford, he's like, did Marcus Rashford go to college? No. Well, what's Marcus Rashford's yearly salary as someone who didn't go to college? $12.5 million, or euros, or pounds. It's just 12.5 million of whatever currency. And so, meanwhile, you have some guy that did like a bachelor's in systems engineering at Penn and a master's in computer science at Georgia Tech, and like understands master's level AI algorithms and generative AI and Salesforce, and is just barely a $200K a year software engineer, which is pretty hard to be, and you have to be quite smart to do it, right? But 12.5 million a year is over 60 times the amount of money. And so Marcus Rashford, right, as someone who didn't even go to undergrad college, makes 60 times the amount of money as a trained up master's computer scientist. And that to me illustrates something very pitiful about the world, something wholly broken, which is that entertainment has too high of a weighting to consciousness. And so why are these players rich? Because they get a whole lot of attention. Why do they get a whole lot of attention? Football, using the international word, is the world's most popular sport because it's intricate, it's brilliant, it has strategy, it has, nail-biting moments, it has elegance, it has the set of things that can happen in football is more than pretty much any other sport. There's so much technicality and nuance to it, and strategy, and detail. And it's a beautiful sport, and so as per my short that's at about 3,500 views at the present time, I think it's a beautiful game. But what I think is that the world works because you have people doing useful things. And so if you have some guy who went through college up to masters who makes 200K, and then a bunch of athletes who make, $1 million or more, we live in this lopsided world where the smart nerd people who are actually, in my opinion, more useful in terms of solving problems that civilization needs than the athletes who just get attention and money in relation to fame and sponsorship and ad revenue. Right? I think the world is it's just all wrong. Everything's just wrong. Because the sort of high life that a million, on the order of millions a year athlete can live, where like everyone around them is just kind of a slave. View it this way: all the people who are watching these athletes perform are slaves. They're not very smart, and so if you determine and say, how many really brilliant technical people have a whole lot of time to follow football, which is the international world for it. Not much. And so when I went through undergrad college, unlike high school, right, I couldn't really keep track of, much of the soccer world in college. I was working like 80-hour weeks or more, getting A's, working part-time jobs to pay rent. And then I got into a great grad school, right? I've had a Tesla for over a year now, right? But the people working on hard technical things, working nearly every waking hour, to solve the problem civilization needs, don't have much time or freedom to just sit down and mindlessly watch a 90-minute game of soccer, right? Or follow the soccer world. And so it's a bunch of average intelligence and low intelligence people that's making those athletes rich who are just a sea of consciousness watching soccer. Now, objectively, what's the point of a constrained game with 22 players and 20 outfield players, in which you have a lot of elegance to it and brilliance and strategy and technicality and beautiful moments, but ultimately just kicking balls into a goal with a player that's diving to stop that, and then 20 outfield players. And it's like, well, what's the point of it? Nothing. Entertainment. And so it's like, if someone who's making something who has like a technical degree at the undergrad or graduate level and is a smarter, more useful person than an athlete, makes only a fraction of the money that the athletes make, because all the stupid people are watching the sports and making the athletes rich. So, I think things could be a lot different. I'm not like hating on athletes. I'm not jealous of millionaire athletes. But it's just all wrong in my opinion. So, uh, so. So anyway, uh, anyway, so that was a bunch of information. If there's anything you remember from this, if you're an accredited investor, try and pick up invest in Helion Energy. It has the most aggressive fusion timeline, and it's building the world's first fusion power plant. And then as well, Jeff Bezos, I think, did Commonwealth Fusion Systems, or CFS, which is related to MIT, and then also General Fusion. But neither of those two companies are as aggressive as Helion with its timeline to supply fusion electricity to the grid, in particular to Microsoft data centers. So this has been fusion energy accredited investors, what they should do, and also a touch on entertainment and football and the World Cup. Deus Ex Machina out.